The third round of the season took the Dunlop Endurance Championship to Brands Hatch. And with the points-leading Ferrari of Wayne Mars and Charlie Hollings absent, there was a real opportunity for Paul Bailey and Andy Schultz to move to the top of the standings. There was still some stiff competition though, including the ALP Racing Saker of David Bryce and Alan Purbrick, race winners at this circuit on Britcar's previous visit at the end of last season.
Last year, winning outright was the biggest achievement for the team, best result we've ever had. So you always come back slightly nervous because you know there's a little bit of pressure on. Today's going to be very interesting because I think the weather will dictate a lot about what will happen today. Conditions are unsettled. It's going to be one of those days where do you go on slicks, do you go on wets, sort of make it a very interesting day of racing, I think.
Also on good form, father and son duo Peter and Mark Cunningham back to Britcar after taking a sabbatical last season.
It's wonderful to be back. Yeah, I've got to say we did have to miss a year unfortunately through circumstances, but we really feel pleased to be back and we love being with Britcar on our championship rounds again. So it's just fun to be out there with such a range of different cars.
Love it. It's chaos. You know, I mean, you got cars that are small, big, you know, fast, slow. It helps you in some cases. You lose out in others. Part of the trick is to use the traffic and use the faster cars, use the slower cars for your advantage, and you know that's the way to work Britcar.
In a rain-soaked qualifying session, the FF Course Ferrari of Ross Wiley and David Mason snatched pole by just over a tenth of a second from the ALP Racing Saker of Bryce and Purbrick. But the weather caused all sorts of dramas. The VR Motorsport Praga was another to go off, although Alistair Bolton and Grant Williams had already done enough to qualify third. The biggest victim of the conditions, though, was Sam Allpass. His Jeff Still Racing BMW out for the day after a heavy crash at Paddock Hill Bend.
Most of the energy's come out on the front corner and it's pushed the radiator and across. It's broken the wishbones and the steering arm and the anti-roll bar. The back end looks like the suspension geometry's changed there, so that's probably another wishbone. Panel damage, radiator damage. I never like to admit defeat, but I think on this occasion we might have to.
So the Ferrari, the Saker and the Praga fill the first three places on the grid for race one, while championship frontrunners Bailey and Schultz qualify fourth. The Cunninghams take Class 3 pole in seventh, with another father and son duo, Richard and Sam Neary, on Class 4 pole and rounding out the top 10. For now, the track is largely dry, but the threat of rain at some point during this first 1 hour race of the day is high. Here we go then, Ross Wiley on pole in the Ferrari, David Bryce in the Saker alongside. As the red lights go out, the race gets underway, and it's a very good start for the pole sitter. Bryce going with him, a challenge for third up ahead, and it's the Praga of Alistair Bolton at the inside of the Ferrari of Paul Bailey to go third. You're on board with Mark Cunningham in the yellow and black Porsche. He's coming under fire now for sixth place from Paul Rose, who fires one around the outside, trying to gain 2 places here. Super late braking. He's got his nose in front of Mike Moss's BMW. He's got the inside line for Graham Hill Bend, and boom, through he goes. Terrific move. So that puts him up to 5th place. Damp patches as you go offline coming out of Graham Hill Bend, so the Saker twitching around there, but Ross Wiley leading the way. The former champion leads the Ferrari 488 through clearways for the first time in the race. Then it's David Bryce second, Alistair Bolton third, and this battle for 4th place. Paul Rose gets an excellent run coming out of Clark Curve in the black number 3 Saker, and the JPR Motorsport driver's got his nose in front. He's got the inside line, but Paul Bailey is very good on the brakes, very brave around the outside. He didn't make life easy there. Good effort from Paul Bailey to defend 4th position, but the Saker goes through. On board with Tim Docker as he goes side by side now with Sarah Moore in the Ginetta, and the VW at the inside to gain a place. Right behind then you got Martin Compton in the Team Brit Aston Martin, and Sarah looks like she's slowing. There's a problem already with that car, I reckon. And there, having started from the pit lane, is the number 98 Ginetta of Lee Frost playing catch-up right at the back of the field at the moment. Back on board then with Mark Cunningham in the Porsche, trying to close up to Mike Moss's BMW. That's in 5th place at the moment, the number 18 car, brand new engine in that machine, and he's pulling away from the Porsche as it stands. Mark Cunningham, though, coming under a bit more pressure from the Ginetta just behind, the Raw Motorsport car driven by Steve Burgess, number 77. So that running in 7th place at the moment, going into Paddock Hill Bend. And further back, a Class 4 battle here between number 92, Graham Roberts in the Paul Calladine Motorsport Ginetta, and right behind Martin Byford, the former Britcar champion, in the BPM Motorsport Seat Cupra. Both cars stablemates, both teams run by the EDF Motorsport squad and running nose to tail into Paddock Hill Bend. There though, the race leader Ross Wiley making good his escape. The Class 2 car leads the Class 1 Seiko of David Bryce in second place. Coming up to lap now, Chris Bentley's CTR Alpha Tune Seat Cupra, showing his nose up the inside of Paddock Hill Bend, and Chris gives him room on the way into the braking zone. We ride once again with Mark Cunningham in the Porsche, making his way over the start-finish line now into Paddock Hill Bend. Smoke up ahead though, the BMW gets sideways, and Mark Cunningham gets sideways into a spin into the gravel trap. And he's just missed there by the number 77, Steve Burgess Ginetta, which went off as well. So I suspect there's some fluid, maybe some oil down on the track, and look at that! Graham Roberts goes off in his Ginetta and just, I think, avoided the Porsche. The 18 car there, which went initially into Paddock Hill Bend with smoke coming out of it. Well, smoke's still coming out of it, and I think it's oil that's gone down. Here's a replay, and there you can see, look, yeah, just no grip whatsoever. Mark turns in, and look how close this one is to start with. Steve Burgess just going past him. Couldn't have been more than a couple of centimetres in that, and then a horrible moment as Mark has to sit and wait, watch all these cars flying towards him, and look how close that was. How the Ginetta of Graham Roberts avoided the Porsche, I'll never know. The gravel trap doing a terrific job there. So Lucky Kerr walks away. There's a lot of carnage down at Paddock Hill Bend. The safety car has been out for more than 15 minutes now, such was the carnage down at Paddock Hill Bend. The single driver entries, who are restricted as to when they can make their pit stops, have already been in. The two driver entries are now making their changes. Ross Wiley, the race leader, making way for David Mason as the marshals treat the surface. And there's the Mark Cunningham Porsche, rather dusty now, heading back to the pits. Well, suddenly the rain has come from nowhere. It has changed in an instant, and you can see just how tricky it is out there on the circuit. So back into the pits, just a few minutes after the first stop, has come the Ferrari. As you can see, it's a proper cloud burst. Everybody else coming in now to change to wet Dunlop tyres as well. Now it looks like it's going to be a driver change as well for the Seiko. So Alan Purbrick's just done a very short stint, and David Bryce is going to get back in. Well, after 20 minutes behind the safety car, we're back up to racing speed, sort of, because look how tentatively they're having to take it here. So much surface water. The sun was out just a few minutes ago. Pit stops are still happening. That's Richard Neary taking over from son Sam. Very experienced pair of hands getting into the Class 4 leading BMW. Back out goes the Porsche. They got the car checked over and repaired, and at least it's been washed off now, all that dust by the rain. So heading up to Druids now, ahead of the Porsche, is the SB Racing Ferrari, the number 28 car. Andy Schultz has taken over from Paul Bailey. That now leads the race. There has been another pit stop for former race leaders. FF course, Ross Wiley's getting back in. David Mason with a short middle stint, and that's to give the quicker driver a chance of tackling these conditions. Fifth place and second in Class 4 behind the ABBA Racing BMW is Ash Woodman in the BPM Motorsport Cupra, and in sixth place and third in class, Martin Compton and Warren McKinley in the Team Brit Aston Martin. This is the battle for seventh place. Pierce Reed in the Class 4 Butler Motorsport BMW coming under pressure now from Lee Frost in the Simon Green Motorsport Ginetta, and Lee gets an excellent run going up Halewoods Hill. He's got his eyes fixed on the inside line, and through he goes at Druids to pick up seventh place. Now this looks like a drive-through penalty for Paul Rose in the Seiko, who was up in the top three, and is overtaken then by Richard Neary in the BMW, which whizzes around the outside of Paddock Hill Bend. And the Class 4 machine being driven beautifully and off the road, and with damage to the back end of the car is the Seiko of David Bryce, which was looking like it might be on the podium today. He was off on the grass at Graham Hill Bend, going through that corner and onto the Cooper Straight, now the race leader. And we've got Tim Docker in with a problem as well in the Maximum Motorsport VW. That car runs like clockwork normally, so very rare to see that car in the pits. So that will put the CTR Alpha Tune Seat of Rob Gillam and Chris Bentley up into ninth place. And David Bryce at the moment, as you can imagine, is not happy with life. It stopped raining and it's starting to dry out, but very slowly, still very wet on track. And we got a big driver at Paddock Hill Bend, the second place Seiko of Paul Rose, which was lapping the Praga of Grant Williams. Both of them have gone off, and the safety car is redeployed. And that is going to be excellent news for Ross Wiley as he tries to catch up to the pack. Well, the rain clouds have now passed, as you can see. The sunshine has come out. It's still wet on circuit though, And this is the race leader, number 28, Andy Schultz, who's put a lap on Lee Frost. Lee is in 5th place at the moment in the Ginetta, but he is trying to fend off Ross Wiley in the second Ferrari 488, just behind him. Lee very quick, as we've already seen up Hellwoods Hill, and now he's getting a bit frustrated by the Ferrari, which is slower than him in the corners, but quicker than him in a straight line. He's trying to get back ahead and lap himself because he's worried about Ross Wiley right behind on this, the final lap of the race for 5th place. They're in different classes here, but pride is at stake. The race leader leads them onto the Cooper Straight, stretches his legs now, pulls away from the Ginetta, which comes under fire on the way into the left-hander at Surtees. Ross Wiley pounces and goes through to 5th place, covers the inside line, takes the curves, but the Ferrari is there. There's only one Ferrari that is going to win this race though, Paul Bailey and Andy Schultz. Their first victory of the season here at Brands Hatch. Here are the final results. Rose finishing second despite being given a 30-second post-race penalty. The Neary's an excellent third overall, ahead of fellow Class 4 entries Woodman and Byford. Frost still wins Class 3 despite being pipped to 5th place by Wiley and Mason. Ahead of race 2, we caught up with Andy Schultz after he mastered a rain-sodden race 1 to take victory alongside Paul Bailey.
The standing water was so deep that the tyres weren't clearing it, so it was aquaplaning a lot. And then I just had to keep on there. I let a couple of guys go through, I had better tyres on, and then it started to come back a little bit. When the deep water cleared, I could fight again, so then I pushed back through again. It was really, really difficult conditions, really difficult.
Thankfully, the weather for race 2 is 100 times better than we had earlier, and with the grid determined by race 1 results, watch out for some quick cars coming through the pack. So the sun is out, but who's going to get the brightest start here? Paul Bailey on pole position. This the 3rd place car of Sam Neary, the Team Aber Racing BMW. In between them, as the lights go out, the sacred Paul Rose, who makes a terrific start. Look, he's going to go around the outside into Paddock Hill Bend. He's going to get the lead of the race away from the Ferrari of Paul Bailey. 3rd place is the BMW of Sam Neary, and 4th, look, and coming hard is Ross Wiley as he climbs up Hellwoods Hill. He's got the inside line and into Druids. He goes through. More power in the Class 2 Ferrari than the Class 4 BMW. On board with Tim Docker as Sarah Moore in the Ginetta, a flash of red as she tries to come around the outside, and a broken diff bracket on that car, which put them out of race 1. And there's the Praga going through of Alistair Bolton. So he's coming through from the 6th row of the grid as we see a change of 2nd place. The Ferrari of Ross Wiley is marching up the order rapidly here. He's gone from 5th to 2nd on the first lap of the race. The number 28 car of Paul Bailey, the pole sitter, in 3rd, but with pro driver Andy Schultz to get into the second half of the race. Sam Neary, lights ablaze in the BMW, is next up, and then it is Lee Frost in the Simon Green Motorsports Ginetta, and there is the blue Praga of Alistair Bolton, who is now about to, I think, pounce at the inside of Ash Woodman into Paddock Hill Bend to move ahead of the Seat. On board into Druids with Sam Neary as Lee Frost comes charging throughout the inside. His teammates Lucky Kerra out after that unfortunate incident at Paddock Hill Bend in race 1. A look at the inside for the Praga, this time on the Aston Martin into Graham Hill Bend. There is the Porsche of Mark Cunningham charging at the order as well. So too the 77 Royal Motorsport Ginetta driven by Steve Burgess in this first stint of the race. The leader then comes through over the line. He's being reeled in though by the Class 2 Ferrari of Ross Wiley. As he closes up, he's surely going to be with the Saker at the end of this lap. We've got side-by-side action here as another place gained for Mark Cunningham in the Porsche, storming his way up now from 12th on the grid. After being another of those cars involved in that big pile-up at Paddock Hill Bend with the fluid down on the circuit. We've got a change of lead into Graham Hill Bend. Lovely move, neatly done by Ross Wiley, and Paul Rose lets him through, the multiple national class champion in that Saker, who's been quick this year but not had great reliability thus far this season. Lots of bad luck for Paul, but he had a good 2nd place in race 1, and maybe he can follow it up with a strong finish here. He's still leading his class, of course, in 2nd place in the Class 1 sports car. Back on board with Sam Neary, an excellent 3rd place overall in race 1 for Team Aber Racing. They're 5th at the moment, but with the Praga looming large in the mirrors. On board with this Class 4 battle between Tim Docker, who's got the Maximum Motorsport car fixed now, the VW Golf, having a look at the inside then of the CTR Alpha Tune Run Seat, driven by Chris Bentley. He's trying to squeeze out the inside here, coming out through Clark Curve. You're on board with Tim as they dart over the start-finish line. He's not quite in front yet, but he has got the right line, the inside line for Paddock Hill Bend. He's got on the brakes, and Tim goes through to gain the place. There then is the race leader, and he's on his own. Where's the 2nd place car gone? Oh no, it's drama again, I'm afraid. It looks like a mechanical problem for Paul Rose, who pulls off the circuit on the outside of the Cooper Straight. So this is going to promote the BMW back up to 5th because he's gone behind the Praga already. He's got the Mark Cunningham Porsche just behind in 6th place. Here's Steve Burgess in the Royal Motorsport Ginetta, trying to get it the inside of the Butler Motorsports BMW of Pierce Reed. There is Graham Roberts gaining a place and Class 4 position on Ash Woodman. So the Ginetta, another car charging through the field here after he was caught up in that incident at Paddock Hill Bend on the oil as well. So Graham Roberts doing a good job, but we've got the safety car out, and it's because of that Paul Rose-Saker. Now, Tim Docker is always very good at taking opportunities when the safety car comes out to pit as a lone driver. He's not restricted as to when he can make his mandatory pit stop. We've either had bright blue skies and sunshine today or rain of biblical proportions, but it looks dry for the rest of this race, thankfully. The Saker has been returned to the pits. We're about to get back underway, and watch for Mark Cunningham here in the SG Racing Porsche as the green flag is waved. He is hot on the heels of Alistair Bolton in the Praga. They're both ganging up on Lee Frost in the Ginetta, and look at this! Brave stuff around the outside. That is a bold move at Paddock Hill Bend. Terrific driving from Mark Cunningham to get himself into 5th place. On board just behind that battle with Sam Neary in the BMW. They break the turn right through Druids and then back downhill into the tricky left-hander at Graham Hill Bend. Well, let's get a replay of that restart. This was textbook stuff from Mark Cunningham in terms of lining himself up, but then he had to be super brave to go around the outside of the Praga, and he almost got 2 for the price of 1. Oh no, Ash Woodman's gone off in the BPM Motorsports Seat, made contact with the barriers. That's at the end of the Cooper Straight, so he's out of the car, but the car, it looks like he's out of the race. And now Alistair Bolton in the Praga, coming back here at the Porsche, but the 997 Cup car has got plenty of grunt in a straight line, and Mark gets his nose back in front of Steve Burgess, has a wild moment in the Royal Motorsport Ginetta and runs through the gravel trap on the exit to Clearways. He was up in the top 6, and the Praga now stabs one up the inside into Druids. Brave stab this from Alistair Bolton, and through he goes. Mark Cunningham giving him just enough room. Tries to come back at him under braking into Graham Hill Bend. Back on board with Tim Docker, who is now alongside Warren McKinley in the Team Brit Aston Martin. He has a look at the inside into Druids. He's thinking about it. He's going to go through at the apex. Good move that in the VW. So Tim Docker making good progress here in this second race of the day. We're at 1/3 race distance. Ross Wiley leads. This is the battle for second place, and Paul Bailey, look, hand out of the window, he's waving through Alistair Bolton in the Class 1 Praga. Class 2 Ferrari, still second in class, but now down to 3rd place overall. But the safety car is out for the second time in the race. Oh no, Sam Neary, the Class 4 leader in the Aber Racing BMW. We're going to get a replay now on board with him. It's into McLaren, and it just understeers wide here. Over the grass he goes. He's a passenger and into the barriers. And that looked like it might have been a part braking on the car, the way it went off the road. Now, taking advantage of the safety car, a change here of driver for Raw Motorsport. Pierce Reed in as well. He's a single driver, but the Ginetta, which has now got Ben Dimmock coming on board, they've got to be careful here because one driver can do no more than 60% of the race, and they are very close to that limit if Ben Dimmock gets in the car now. Likewise, Grant Williams in the Praga, and having had a 23-second lead before the safety car, Ross Wiley brings the Ferrari in. Thanks to the quick thinking on the pit stops, Pierce Reed is the race leader in the Class 4 BMW. Here he is lapping Tim Docker, who made his earlier pit stop. And in second place, we have got the Raw Motorsport number 77 Ginetta. So Class 4 car leads, the Class 3 car is in second place. And this is for 3rd place. Lee Frost nosing at the inside of the Porsche, now driven by Peter Cunningham, but the 997 Cup car has got plenty of grants, more horsepower, and he comes back around the outside as they come onto the start-finish straight. Lee Frost, though, closes him back out and braking into the right-hander at Paddock Hill Bend. He's right underneath the rear wing now as they climb up Hellwood Hill, but very good on the brakes is Peter Cunningham. Lee Frost has another look at the inside. There's almost contact as the door is shut to Praga of Grant Williams. He's coming after them as well, and coming out of the corner, Lee Frost gets the better run. He's got the outside line for Graham Hill Bend, and again, Cunningham fends him off. Terrific battle this, and Frost now jinks to the inside, gets the better run onto the Cooper Straight and goes 3rd. Cunningham in 4th. Grant Williams in the Praga, right on his tail in 5th in the Class 1 VR Motorsport car. Look, Lee Frost is already scarpering faster than a politician that's been asked an awkward question. And it's because he knows that once he gets past the Porsche, Grant Williams is going to be coming fast. And he's through already, look. Just gets at the inside, coming through Clearways. And the Praga now up into 4th place for VR Motorsport. Good to see the Saker of Paul Rose back out. He's just set the fastest lap in Class 1. Ross Wiley still has the fastest lap of the race. And the race leader has got a drive-through penalty. Pierce Reed, I think it's likely for a pit lane infringement. So that is going to put the Raw Motorsport Ginetta of Ben Dimmock into first position. However, he's been reeled in fast by the number 28 SB Race Engineering Ferrari of Race 1 winner Andy Schultz. He's just put a lap on Graham Roberts, who's going really well in the top 6 in his G50. There's the battle for third place then. Pierce Reed, number 43, the former race leader, having had his penalty. Fourth for Grant Williams in the Praga, and he has found a way past the 5th place Lee Frost car, which is just behind them, about a second behind them in his Ginetta. So third, fourth, fifth, nose to tail now. On paper, there's no way that BMW should be able to keep the Praga behind, but I tell you what, Pierce Reed is having an excellent race here, despite the drive-through penalty. He is well on top in terms of Class 4. Here we go, though. This is where the Praga is going to have more grunt, more acceleration, more aero. Through it goes, almost touching there as they go down the start-finish straight. And Pierce Reed coming back at him, and they almost make contact again. Pierce making life very difficult for Grant Williams. Let's have a replay. Look how close they got here, coming onto the start-finish line. Terrific battling, and he has another nibble at him here. The BMW dwarfing the Praga, but it's the Praga that goes through to third place. And while all that was going on, look, this was a moment of contact as Graham Roberts put a lap on the Team Brit Aston Martin, but they both got away with it. And Roberts is now up to 5th place ahead of Peter Cunningham in the SG Racing Porsche. Right, this then is the battle for second place. Ben Dimmock coming under fire from Grant Williams. Oh, there's contact as they make their way into the left-hander at Surtees, and off the road and up into the air goes the Raw Motorsport Ginetta. He just about keeps it pointing in the right direction, but he's going to lose a ton of time. So too the race leaders. And that's a stop-go penalty. Luckily, they were most of a lap clear, so Andy Schultz should still retain the lead of the race. A replay then, and it was more close overtaking here from the Praga. There was contact, and the Ginetta, which was on the outside, set for a wild ride across the grass. Well, because of that contact, they've had to change the right rear wheel on the Praga, so that's scuppered any chances now of a podium finish. It's going to lose a number of laps. The Ginetta looks unharmed and continues on, but of course it's now fallen behind Lee Frost, so it loses one and gains a position. Pierce Reed then still leading Class 4, running in a fabulous 4th place here. So this is the battle for second place, because Ben Dimmock, look, he's already back onto the tail of Lee Frost. The two Ginettas are going to be absolutely side by side over the start-finish line. Nose in front just about by a few thousandths of a second for Dimmock. He's got the line, he's got the brakes, and through he goes into second place. Well, it's been another action-packed race, but coming through it all to take their second race win of the day, Paul Bailey and Andy Schultz. Here's confirmation of the result and double victory for Bailey and Schultz. Lee Frost was promoted back to second place after Ben Dimmock and Steve Burgess were handed a post-race penalty for breaking the rule that states that no one driver can contest more than 60% of the total race distance. Meanwhile, a superb 4th place overall and Class 4 victory for Pierce Reed. What a day though for Andy Schultz and Paul Bailey.
Fantastic weekend. I really enjoyed the second race, had a very good stint. Then Andy got in and was just totally amazing really. The team have done a fantastic job from SB Race Engineering, and we just had a very reliable car, and we just went out there and did consistent laps, and that's what wins an endurance race.
So we've enjoyed some terrific racing here at Brands Hatch. Next, round 4 of the Dunlop Endurance Championship takes us to Donington Park. Thanks for watching.